Well, as I said, you've got everything there, paint, paraffin, the lot. Well, next door to him was a man named Adcocks. His shop was about 40 feet long. It had one long window, one large window, about 8 foot square, and the windowsill was about 18 inches from the path. They were low down. They had double door, and they had another window, which meant was about another 20 odd feet long. And he had all antique furniture and curios. He had some wonderful furniture. There were the sofas, which in my day were modern things, but now they'd be old-fashioned, but now they'd be valuable. They were all stuffed with horsehair, and they were as hard as a path, but everybody liked them. You had brassware, copperware. He had...
Well, the same as they do today.
Yes, but you see, they had them today, but you see, they were old-fashioned, they were modern in those days, but if you could get those products again, you'd be worth thousands. Anyhow, he was a tall man, a nice old man. We often used to talk to him on our way to school. We never knew if he wore a collar and tie, because he had a big white beard. That was about 10 inches beneath his chin. Always wore a trilby hat, but as I said, he was a nice old boy, and he'd always dressed like a countryman, with tweeds and big brown boots. Well, next to him was Simmons, the butcher. I went to school with him. They left Fore Street after a great number of years, long after I'd left Fore Street, and they moved to, I think, a farm and a butcher shop in Codman. Well, we get to him, and next to him was Mr Honeyball, and he specialised in suites, such as bedroom suites, dining room suites, and sitting room suites, settees, cushions, armchairs. You went in there and he showed you catalogues and pictures, and you choose what you want, and he made them. Well, next to him was a little tailor shop. You had to bend down to get in the door, and it had a steep step. That was only a little shop, but it was all oak timbered, and it had an overhang and a bedroom over the top. A tall man could have, my father, if he'd gone over, he could have stretched his arm up and touched the bedroom windowsill. The man there was a tailor, a little man. We often used to talk to him as he went to school. And we went to school with his son, Percy Edwards, the birdman. He had another son, Jack Edwards, who was an insurance man. Well, that was that one. At the side of the Mr Edwards' shop was a passageway, and that was called Dedham Place. You walked up the little passageway, about 10 or 12 feet long, and there was an open space, and there were about 4 cottages forming a circle inside there, with their tap up against the wall for their domestic water. You came out there, and Mr Hazel's shop was there, and he was a shop fitter. He pulled the shop fronts out, and they were good shops, and he modernised them, which was wrong, but anyhow, that was his business, and he did it. Well then, next to him was another little shop. That was a greengrocer's shop. That did good business. In fact, Fore Street could supply all you needed without going into the town, without any problem. That was a grocer's shop. Well then, next to him was another shop, and that was about 25 feet long. That had a double door in the middle, but there were 2 big pane window glasses there. Well, the young fella started out as when when radio began to come in, there were cat whiskers and things like that. He started that, this young couple, fellas started this business, and they got on well. Well, then they expanded, and they come into a company called Avis Cook. They've since just gone retired, I suppose, and this is 92. But anyhow, they started there. They moved out, and that was a printer shop, and that lasted for a long while. Well, next to that was another little shop, again a timbered shop with an overhang, and again a tall man could have touched the overhang quite easily. That had a carved, rounded length over the shop windows. When you went in that shop, you dropped down about 8 inches onto the floor. Well, that was kept by a man named Sizer and his wife. Mr Sizer was a local council official, and he eventually come to be mayor of Ipswich. Well, they specialised in sweets and tobacco. Sweets was one side, tobacco and pipes was the other on the left. We come out of there, and there's another passageway. I can't think of the name of the court, but that was a court. And the Chinnery family lived up there, and another family that I can't remember, but they were both dock workers, stevedores on the docks. You come out of that, and there you come to another sweet shop. And that man at Christmas time used to have a Christmas club for us children. I joined it, and I paid a penny a week, and at Christmas time I went up each week and paid my penny, put on my card, and I got a boat with a chocolate hull, a cardboard deck, and a set of cardboard sails. And I received that 2 days before Christmas. Next to that was a large house standing back with a gravel drive and a garden in the middle and shrubs all round it. That was the police doctor's house, Dr. Fryer.
That's right.
He lived there. Next to that was Keeble the butcher. He's a man with a red hair, flaming red hair, and he was known as Ginger Keeble. Well, he had 3 sons. He started the shop there, and the sons had shops of their own, which obviously he helped them to get in different parts of the town. Next to that was Burrows, and he specialised in bananas. He had 1 or 2 cabbages, 1 or 2 bags of potatoes, but the most I ever saw him have in his warehouse were bananas. Well, that was that. But next to that was a Spread Eagle public house, and that was not as old as the Neptune. I should say that was about 150 years old to date now. And that was on the corner of Eagle Street and Fore Street, and that's a heavily timbered house. Part of it used to be a butcher's shop, but I do remember having a little butcher shop attached to it with the abattoir or slaughterhouse, if you like to call it that, in Eagle Street. But after a while that was removed. That was Mr Keeble's slaughterhouse, that's right. And after a while the slaughter or abattoir was removed and the yard was cleaned, and that was taken over by the Spread Eagle. And there you'll have the history, as far as I can remember, of Fore Street, apart from the fact that right in the middle of the road there were 2 sets of lines which took the trams, but the road was made of wood blocks, and when it was flooded they got wet, and all the blocks used to come up in humps in the road, and when the corporation came along to repair the road, there was a lot of blocks to repair, and they were given away to the people who brought the cars to collect them. The fire brigade didn't like it a lot, for the simple reason that when they put the blocks on the fire, they were loaded with tar, there was a lot of soot went up the chimney, and the chimneys caught on fire. Now you've got a pocket view of Fore Street.